What's up, everyone? Today we are continuing the talk about at-home workouts and what the best way of training at home is, where there's a lot of the world that's still in lockdown now. And today we're going to be talking about ways that you progress and see continual results in improvements in strength, flexibility, and fitness. Stick around. Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name's Rad Burmeister. I'm the co-founder of Unity Gym and the UMS Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into strong, flexible athletes. If you want to know how we do it, grab one of the free downloads, the Strength Blueprint, the Flexibility Blueprint, or the Nutrition Blueprint. There's a link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, or in the podcast if you're listening to it. Now today I have a very special guest. Phil is off with his mentor, and we grabbed our ultimate athlete for the year, Lachlan Heussler. How are you, bro?
I'm good, thanks, buddy. And yourself?
Yeah, you had no idea you were doing this.
No, I did not. I was on a conference call still in your office, and you just grabbed me as I was trying to leave. So here I am.
How good is that? I'm actually really happy that we've got you for this show, because I don't think there's anyone that can talk better about these at-home workouts for people that have done it than you. You were there with me every single day, weren't you, mate? I
think for 12 weeks or however long we did, I missed one session.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy to talk about it because I've got plenty of experience for them.
Yeah, and if anybody is that was doing the at-home workouts with us is watching, Lachlan is the one that kept getting excited about my shaved chest on the stream. No, look, if you don't understand I get that Australian humour is a little bit different than others, but Lockie and I have a little bit of banter every day on the show. So, look, today I just want to remind everybody, why we're doing this. I've got to give a shout out to Victoria, right? In Australia, one of our states, Victoria, they're in real trouble. Either yesterday or the day before, they recorded their highest amount of new cases in one day, which was just under 800. Now, I know that's nothing compared to America, a lot of other countries in the world, but for Australia, it's really big, and they're in stage 4 lockdown, which is the tightest restrictions in Australian history. So it includes a curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And in support of our Victorian friends and everyone around the world that's still in lockdown, this week we're doing a series on home training, on at-home workouts, and I want to. The big thing that we're talking about this week, so the big mistake that people are making, and this is something that this is why I'm really happy to have you here, Lockie, is that the big mistake that people are making with their at-home workouts, that trainers are making, is that they're trying to entertain their clients when they're training at home. Like they're doing these, like just random workouts of all these funky exercises. Some of the exercises that I'm seeing trainers do, I swear that they're making them up. They're just making something up because it's different and putting it in a workout. And, when you can't get access to a gym, thinking that the way that you should train is to do something really funky and out there and different than no one's ever done before is not the right way to go about it, because there's certain principles of training that should be adhered to get results.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, there's two things. The first one is to be consistent. So you can't get into a gym, but you can work out at home, but it's being consistent about maintaining the routine that you have. But the second thing, and the more important thing, and the reason that's why I come here every day and I pay you guys to come to this gym, is for the programming. And with the UMS, and especially the at-home workout UMS that you were doing, you had devised a very structured at-home workout that was broken down by different exercises on a per day basis, and then they changed every 4 weeks. And we always joke about it at the gym here, just as we get good at something, you guys change it. And that's why, personally, that's why I come, is because I want to come in and do stuff, and I don't have the skills or the expertise to be able to program stuff myself at this point in time. So I rely on you giving me a structured program. Sure, there are weaknesses that I can work on, and the UMS is designed to sort of bring those out and focus on them. But that is the benefit of it. And having these structured at-home workouts for that 12-week period where we were locked down was the best thing that happened. It was if I didn't have the workout to do, I don't know how I would feel, mentally and physically.
Yeah. And you achieved some pretty good results in those at-home workouts, didn't you?
Well, I've told you, since we've come back to the gym, I don't know what happened during those 12 weeks, but I am way more flexible than I have ever been in my entire life. And I don't know whether it was because we were doing so much more mobility or we were doing so much more cardio or whatever it was, but I've reached flexibility and mobility goals that I've been training for 4 years to get to, and I've got them since we've come back to the gym after those at-home workouts.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to find a picture here so that I can get Richard to put it up on the stream if I give him enough time to do it. Because you just got your first chest to floor, stomach to floor pancake in that session that we just did, didn't you?
This morning, yeah. So my pancake is definitely at peak now in terms of getting to the floor, and the other one for me is front splits.
Your front splits is killing it.
I'm pretty much on the floor in front splits now, and I've never been able to do that. But yeah, coming out of those workouts, I don't know what it was. I mean, I definitely missed not being able to lift heavy weights, but the flip side to that is the calisthenics that we're now incorporating into our workouts in the gym. I'm crushing because, doing handstand push-ups or pike push-ups, whatever it was, that's what we did a lot of volume in that during the at-home workouts.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I just want to quickly repeat what Yanni's written here. Guys, everyone that's watching, please comment with a hi or hello, just so we know who's watching and even where you're watching from, so we can give you a shout out. Yeah, Lockie, look, I'm so happy to hear you say all that, because that's really what we wanted to talk about today is the importance of periodization. And what Lockie just said, for those of you listening, the way he's talking about how what we do is how he's saying that at the gym here, everybody jokes about how just as they start getting good at something, we change it. That's called periodization. And it's essential for progression. You cannot continue to see strength, flexibility, and fitness gains by continuing to do the same thing. You hit a plateau. And the research shows that the plateau comes at about the 4 to 8 week mark. It depends on the person and it depends on the program. So roughly from 4 to 8 weeks, you need to periodize, you need to change things. So at Unity Gym, we do a 6-week cycle. And we do that for good reasons, but which I won't go into here. But I'll save the deeper stuff, the more technical talk for tomorrow when we go live to the UMS online coaching group. But with the at-home workouts, we chose 4 weeks before we changed, and we did that for good reason. One of the reasons why we did 4 weeks is because we didn't want people to get too bored and too stale with doing the same thing. That is something that we have to watch out for. And 4 weeks worked well, didn't it? Because we were just starting to really go, wow, I'm getting better at this, and then something new came in.
Yeah, I mean, plus I don't know if you could take doing 4 weeks of horizontal running again.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, some of the ones are pretty tough, but my fitness definitely jumped. I mean, I saw your fitness, massively improved. I don't think I've ever seen you do cardio before, in 4 years of coming here. So to watch that on a consistent basis was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But those workouts were challenging, and for anyone that wants some sort of motivation, I'm sure you guys still have them all up on YouTube, and you can go and have a look at them. And there's lots of them.
Yep.
But they were killer. And some of and you can make them as hard as you want or as easy as you want, and that was one of the benefits as well, because someone like myself that had been training with you for 4 years to go, okay, well, what the hell am I going to do when the gym shuts down? But to actually after the first week go, wow, those workouts were actually really challenging was great.
Yep. So for those of you listening, if you don't know what program periodization is, it's basically changing the variables in your program as your body adapts. So the main variables that you work on with periodization are you change exercise selection, you change the intensity, which is basically the amount of weight that you do, or with body weight training, it's using leverage to do harder progressions. So it's like when we went from the push-up to the archer push-up. That was killer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
Or going from push-ups to 1 1/4 push-ups like we did in one of the phases. Then you also can change rest periods. You can change the tempo of the exercises. And
rep range.
Yeah, rep range. Yeah. Rep range is directly related to intensity, though, so it's the same thing. But so changing any or all of those things is what is called program periodization. So when you're doing your at-home workouts, this is a really, really important thing. This is what we want to talk about. Now, Yanni went online and he actually had a look at some of the most popular fitness apps in the world and some of the most popular fitness trainers, what they're doing for at-home workouts. And he was really... he was very underwhelmed with what they're doing, to say the least. Now, I'm not going to put any names out, but we're talking about the most popular ones out there. And it is all about entertaining the audience. It's all about showing someone something that they haven't seen before, a new combination of things. And look, it's great. I mean, if you're somebody that is that unmotivated to train, that you need to be entertained in every single workout with something new and shiny and flashy, and that's what gets you going, then great, go for it. But we cater for somebody that's on a little bit of a different part of their journey, somebody that's maybe done that for long enough and has realized that they're not getting the results that they want and they want more. And that's where the UMS comes in, and that's where the UMS at-home workouts come in. We provide a platform to be able to keep you entertained enough to keep you coming back, but to follow scientific periodization principles so that we get real results. And you and me both felt that, didn't we? 12 weeks, man, shit. Like there was... you can see Yanni talks about, you can see the change in my body from phase 1 to phase 4. I got shredded, man, and I put on muscle as well.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure there were lots of online viewers that appreciated that. But I certainly didn't lose as much weight as you did, or as get as shredded as you did. But I wasn't sort of focusing as much on my diet as probably you guys.
Yeah,
do.
I cut dairy out as well. I did a couple of dietary changes to really capitalize on that and to show people what's possible. What you could do. And
but not everyone loves doing cardio and the way that those at-home workouts, in terms of the sort of let's call it the first 30 minutes of doing the 5 sets of the 4 exercises, and then the cardio stuff at the end. And they were challenging. I can remember being in my lounge room. I'd have you up on the TV, and I actually had my air playing from my Mac onto the TV, and I'd be like, okay, we've got to do this, and it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to do this. And it was motivating also having the group there in the chat. I can't imagine how difficult it would have been for you here in the studio or in the gym with all of the stuff up on the windows and just doing it by yourself. Yanni was there yelling at you and things like that, but with no audience and knowing that there's between 50 and 100 people online counting on you to do these exercises, even if you're feeling like shit, so I've got to do this, right? That's got to be a bit motivating for you.
It was, and it was a surreal experience because it made me. I was really aware of how I couldn't get sick and I couldn't hurt myself. Even if I twinged my neck, it would have really affected my ability to be I said to myself, look, I'm going to do it either way. And there was a couple of times when I tweaked my shoulder and I had to say, look, I'm going to do a little bit of a regressed version for this or a few less reps. But I still really bought it as best as I could. And it was a surreal experience, man, because in all honesty, if I didn't have Yanni there interacting with you guys, far out, that would have been hard.
Yeah. What about even with the periodization, doing the deload week in those 4 weeks was interesting as well, because I usually found that, you do the first week and your body's adapting and wow, okay, I've got a bit of DOMS and all that sort of stuff. Second week's okay. And then we do a peak week, and those peak weeks were tough.
They were hard, weren't they?
Very tough. And then when you combine that into, the 4-week program, by the deload week of the 4th week, I was like, I need that. Yeah. I need that week because and for those of you listening, if you don't know what Lockie's talking about there, what he's referring to is a process called supercompensation. And what happens is if you if your strength is represented by the horizontal axis and time, if time is represented by the horizontal axis and strength is represented by the vertical axis, as time goes on, by doing a good program, your strength will actually drop a little bit. So you can quite often feel by the 2nd or 3rd week that you're losing strength. And where people that don't understand how supercompensation works is what they think is I need to train harder, but you don't. What you're actually in is what's called a state of overreaching. Okay, it's not overtraining. Overtraining is very different, but you're in a state of overreaching. And what happens is when you're in a state of overreaching, the only way to supercompensate is to deload the volume by doing less for roughly about a week period. And then what happens is you supercompensate. Your body goes through a process called adaptation. You become stronger, and all of the work that you've done comes together, and you become stronger over that week. And that's what a deload week is for. And a good program, a good periodized program, uses a deload week to capitalize on that supercompensation. And we could feel it, couldn't we? Right, that week 4, man, I was wrecked. I guess another way you could think about it is having that deload week. When you then start the next phase of your program, you feel fresher, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And it's because you're stronger or whatever, but you've had that rest period. Your body has adapted to the work that it's been doing, and then when you step into the new phase of your program, you're like, wow, why is this so much easier, or why do I feel so much better when I'm doing this exercise? Yep. And it's because you've had that period where you haven't overtrained or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, and if you if you don't do that, like at the end of that 4th week, imagine when you're as wrecked as we are and you still go into the next week just trying to go as hard as you can. Everybody gets to a point, people don't understand this, but if you don't use a programmed deload week, so if you're not really capitalizing on supercompensation, you end up doing a forced deload. And that's when people, they won't turn up.
Or you get injured.
Yeah, or you get injured, right. Yeah. But that's a forced deload as well. Yeah. But a forced deload is either you get injured and then you can't train, or you get to a point where you feel so fucked that you think, oh man, I'm just not going to train today, and then you don't train for 2 days and your body goes through that forced supercompensation. But there's a much smarter way to do it, and that's why we use deload weeks. So when you're doing your at-home workouts, make sure that you're programming, make sure you're using periodization. So you're thinking of how can I progress my exercises every 4 weeks, and make sure that you use a deload week so that you supercompensate. It's really, really, really important. Mm-hmm. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is progressive overload, and the way that we use progressive overload in the at-home workouts. And progressive overload, in a nutshell, I really like this explanation. It's a really simple one. If you went and picked up a set of 10-pound dumbbells and you did bicep curls with them, and you could just do 8 reps, and you did 3 sets of 8 reps, and you did that for, say, 3 or 4 workouts, and by the end of the 4th workout, you can now do 12 reps of those 10-pound dumbbells. And then you go and pick up the 12.5-pound dumbbells, and you go back to 8 reps, and you repeat that process again. That's called progressive overload. So it's a really layman's way of describing it. But with weights, it's really easy, because with weights, you just up the weight a little bit. Mm-hmm. But with calisthenics training, which is what you're doing in an at-home workout, if you don't have gym equipment, you have to be more creative. And if you remember the way that we were using progressive overload, I don't know if you guys, well, you probably would, because you've been training with us for so long that you'd understand this stuff. But I don't know if a lot of other people would have picked up on this. But the way that, remember, every week I was going, like with the hip thrusts, one week we were doing 12 reps, and the next week we were doing 14 reps, and the next week 16 reps. So that's a way of using progressive overload.
With body weight.
With body weight, yeah. Exactly, yeah. And you have to use progressive overload, because progressive overload, the idea of going from week 1 to peak week is that you progressively overload from week to week to week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could you feel that happening?
Yeah, I could. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of hip thrust, but I definitely could feel that. I mean, the other way, I guess, that you're doing progressive overload, as you said before, is increasing the resistance by using leverage. So going from what I found I was doing is with the pike push-ups is I was feet elevated.
Yep.
Right? So initially on the floor until get my body used to it, or the tiger push-ups was another one, where you really had to get used to it.
Yeah.
And then, but it was like, okay, well now I can do 8 reps pretty easily. So how do I increase the difficulty?
Yep.
So then it was like, okay, I'll put my feet up on the couch, and I'm way more vertical in terms of the pike push-ups, and that way I could feel a bit more in terms of the overload in my shoulders.
Yep. So. Yeah, for sure. Guys, I'm going to give a couple of shout-outs here. So if you're watching on the live stream and you haven't already, please give a little hello and where you're watching from. So, hey, Dave Clark, good to see you on the stream here. Lee Clements in regional Victoria in stage 3 lockdowns. Where Yanni's sending some love to you, Lee. So are we. I'm so grateful that we haven't gone into lockdowns like that again. So really feeling for you guys.
I'm touching wood for
touching
you.
Wood, yeah. And then Lee is saying, you doing regressions when you needed to was a great example to all. Yeah, thanks, Lee. I really want to make a point of that, because it's a mistake that Yanni and I made for a long time in our training, which was the go hard or go home mentality, which is you just push through it. I'm not feeling good, but I'm going to push through it. And I learned so many times the hard way that you just get injured, and the older I get and the worse the injuries I get I've eventually wised up. And now, I made a really big point of saying that stuff, Lee, I'm feeling a bit of a twinge in my shoulder. I'm going to regress, because this is what my body needs. So I'm really happy to hear that you picked up on that.
Well, just what I would add to that is it's one thing, it's one ethos of this gym that I think is pretty key, which is to leave your ego at the door. Mm. And I've been here training with you for almost 5 years now, and I've seen a lot of people come in that have some experience in training, and then they come in and they try and do some of the stuff that you teach, and they can't do it. And they're like, oh, wow. And
it's too hard.
Well, no, it's too hard, but it's also a shock to them as a person, because they're like, I can do this
Yep.
like better than anyone else at the gym that I was at before. And then I come here and I try and do like a compression exercise and I can't even get my feet off the floor.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. But it's the same thing with the training. It's like, I don't need to show other people in this gym that I can bench press 100 kilos. I mean, I can do it, sure, but I don't need to do it every day. And if I'm not feeling it, then I'm not going to do it. I don't have to prove anything to anyone else other than myself.
Yeah.
And you guys really have reinforced that as a sort of a core value of people that are training here. And, you know, the fact that you can realize, wow, I felt a twinge and therefore I'm not going to go hard because, you know, you and I are both slightly older than like, you know, some of the people that might be listening or that train with us at the gym. And I listen to my body now more than I've ever listened to it before.
Yeah.
And again, it's another thing that you guys have taught me, you know, in terms of the way that I should train.
Yeah, and you know, training at home, if you are training at home now during lockdown, it's a really great opportunity to be able to really embrace that because there is no one looking at you. You don't have to worry if you have to do push-ups on your knees and you feel like you're not competing, you know, with the big kids in the gym. You can just really, you know, do this you versus you type workout and really take a good look at where you're at and what your body needs and, you know, do what's right for you.
Well, that's what I'm battling with currently at the moment is when we go and do the HIIT circuits at the end of the class up the back and, you know, we were doing bicycle crunches and it's like I got to 35 seconds and I'm like, you know, I stop as opposed to doing the full 40. And it's not because my body won't do it. It's because mentally it's saying, you know, you can stop. It's fighting sort of, you know, against yourself. And I've been watching a bit of that sort of David Goggins stuff recently. And like, he must be so mentally tough, that guy. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it is. It is. So Vinny Brown is saying, hi guys, catching you live today. Great to see you on the show, Vinny. And then Vinny's also saying, what does deload for flexibility look like? So it's a really good question. What I want you to think of is that when you do flexibility training, there's two ways to do it. Well, you've got to define the difference between flexibility and mobility. So, and Vinny's then saying, wondering when it's appropriate to deload in the context of the mobility masterclass. Yeah, good call. The way that I've always deloaded with flexibility is that when I'm deloading for strength training, I just deload the intensity and maybe even the volume of the flexibility. And I don't actually think about it as specifically as I do with strength training. Like with strength training, when I deload, I'd almost pull my calculator out. Like I'm calculating what 40% of my total volume is, but I'm still aiming for strength improvements in that volume. So it's so much of a shorter workout. Whereas when I deload for flexibility, I just basically don't push myself hard. I don't really try to see any improvements, and I just see how I feel on the day. If I feel good, I'll do a couple more sets, and if I don't feel good, I won't. And I basically just take that 1 week where you know, I don't do much at all. And if you're following the UMS program, Vinny, in the UMS program, we do deload / testing week in the 1 week. And when we do that testing week, we don't actually do any flexibility training in the sense of we're not doing like 5 sets of Jefferson curl in a workout. What we do is we do a couple of flexibility assessments or mobility assessments, and that's really, and the warm up and a cool down, and that's really your flexibility training for the day.
And that's new. So prior to lockdown, we didn't actually test the mobility in the testing program, whereas we've gone through one testing cycle since we've been back, and we tested mobility for the first time, which was actually really good because, you know, you're standing there like having, you know, one of the other people training here take a photo of you to see where you're at. I'm still trying to work out like how warmed up we get to be before we actually like test where that mobility is at. But it'll be interesting to see how that progresses over time. But to answer Vinny's question, in the past, when we were deloading, like I haven't specifically done any mobility for that particular week. So it's just the test and then that's it. And the test involves way less volume. So to your point, it's just deloading volume and that's it. So and like I can really feel the benefit of that, to be honest. So when you come in the following week and then you restart the program again with the adjustments that have been made, you do feel so much fresher. Yeah,
man. Yeah, you do. It's a really big part of training that deloading properly. And you know, Vinny, I know how hard it is, you know, and especially when you see all these questions that come up in the UMS Movement Mastermind, we get so many questions of people asking, how do I use this program and how do I combine it with that, and how do I do this? And, you know, it's a really important thing to understand, Vinny, and anyone doing the Mobility Masterclass, that a deload for flexibility is really just don't strive for improvements for a week. Just go through the motions, And what that means is, like, I even really get rid of any loaded flexibility, like where I'm grabbing a weight plate and doing a loaded pancake, or grabbing a barbell, a 30-kilo barbell or something, and doing Jefferson curls, which is what I'm working on at the moment. And you just do mobility training, where you're basically just doing something like the 18-minute stretching routine or the cool down that we do at the end of the class.
Well, I was going to say, like, the other thing, like, that's probably that's changed in this place since we come out of lockdown, is that we do that mobility cool down. And I don't know how similar that is to the online mobility masterclass.
No, that mobility cool down is the exact cool down that we did in the at-home workouts. That video I did, okay. I actually literally just took one of the at-home workouts and cut the mobility routine from the end out.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, that's super beneficial. Like, I already can see it. And the newbies that we've got that have come into the gym since the place has reopened are already benefiting from doing that every day for 10 minutes at the end of the workout. And, whether or not that's sort of similar, someone taking, the 18-minute stretching routine or whatever it is and tacking that on to the end of a workout they're doing at home or in a gym somewhere else around the world. But it's doing that every day and seeing the gains that you get from doing that every day. Yep. And it's not like it's not super intense. It's not like I'm doing, a pancake here with a 25-kilo weight plate at my back at the back, but I'm just going through the pancake motions and doing a couple of stretches in there for 30 seconds to a minute, but doing it every day as we're finishing the workout.
Yep. Yeah, Yanni's saying my biggest breakthrough is flexibility coming after a break. And yeah, it's, you do get flexibility DOMs, you get DOMs from stretching hard and pushing it every week. And when you do deload like that, you get a great response. So Diane Norbury's saying down in Geelong, regional Victoria. Look, thanks for tuning in, Diane. Hopefully things are going to start getting better for you guys down there. And Greg Gillespie's tuned in and said, "Morning, guys." Morning, Greg. Well, look, Lockie, thanks for joining us, brother. This has made my job a hell of a lot easier doing this show, having someone to talk to. It's always really hard talking straight to the camera and trying to have a good conversation. So it was really good to have you on here.
But you always talk to yourself anyway, don't you?
I do. I do. That's all right. So everyone that's listening, Yanni asked the question yesterday on the UMS Movement Mastermind, in light of this series of shows that we're doing about training in lockdown and everything, would anybody like the at-home workouts to be a flash sale for this weekend? And we had a lot of people saying yes. So I think we might do that. Yanni and I haven't discussed it yet today because Yanni is still waiting for the results of his COVID-19 test. He's in isolation. So I'll have a chat to him today and we'll see if that's what we're going to do. Let us know if it is something that you want. If you are in lockdown or if you still can't get to gyms or if you're not sure about when you're going to, if you are going to have to go back to lockdown in the future, then I can guarantee you that these at-home workouts are going to be a game changer for you. It's a really amazing thing to have in your repertoire.
Or you just want like a change something that's different to going to the gym.
It's not just for this lockdown period, I've never trained at home without equipment like we did, and we made a real point when I was writing those programs and I said, like Yanni, for example, I said, for the pulling exercises, Yanni, I'm just going to use the rings because, we can tell everybody that they'll use a towel. And Yanni said, no, you're not. You're going to do exactly what people have got at home so that people can't say, well, you're doing it like this.
Oh, no, I had like the hand towel and then the yoga mat through the hand towel over the door. And I had to there was a full process for me to get everything set up before the thing actually started streaming. And that was, again, it's like a routine. So, I think people work most effectively when they have a routine. So, and putting that routine and having everything done and honestly, the at-home workouts was a godsend because I don't know what would have happened if I wasn't training.
Oh man, wouldn't we? Yeah, wouldn't we all? I mean, everybody said that. And what's really cool about those at-home workouts is we've got members that travel, and people always say to us, "What do I do when I travel?" And now we've got the best answer: do the at-home workouts, man. You can do that in your hotel room with what's in the hotel room, you can do those exact at-home workouts. You don't need anything else. And man, are they good, you know. So, thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you've made it this far and you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, make sure you go and join the UMS Movement Mastermind. It's a Facebook group where we record these podcasts live. This is where we're answering people's questions and interacting with our tribe. So you can ask us questions, whatever you want. And also download one of the free blueprints, the Flexibility Blueprint, the Strength Blueprint, and the Nutrition Blueprint. There's a lot of great information there. And let's all thank Lockie for joining us. What a great guest. Great to have you on here, Lockie. And man, I just love seeing your progress, man. Fuck, you've come far.
Thank you, Rad. Well, I've got a good teacher. So.
Good student. All right, team. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to be wrapping up this week, talking about, the way that you're going to get some serious results with at-home workouts during this lockdown period. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day. Speak soon.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.